Welcome back, everyone. This is Hutch from Hutch Eye Perf, and I've made quite a mess. I've been a little busy, so I've been doing a bunch of stuff, and I am going to show you. Look at it's stuff everywhere. Anyway, yeah, I got some stuff I've been doing, and I got some more stuff I'm going to show you. So let me get this on a tripod, and we'll both pretend I know what I'm doing. First things first, let's check our pan depth. So I'll get a flat edge, or straight edge across there, and then we'll just check with a tape measure. And that is right at 8.5. So you want the pickup depth to be anywhere from 1/2 inch to 3/8. So if I can get a comfortable 8-inch out of the pickup, that'll be a 1/2 inch difference between the pickup and the pan. That should be good. So let's see what we got. All right, let's get this pump on. And I'm using the bolts from the 307 that came out of this. I've actually got new bolts on the way, but this will work for getting this in and getting the measurement. I actually talked to Moroso. I called their tech line, and I asked them, what happens if this thing isn't like in the depth range that I think it should be? And what he said is that this is designed to be anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 inch in depth between the bottom of the pickup and the bottom of the pan, which is different than what I'm used to, but that's what they designed it for. He also said you're probably going to notice that the pump is going to sit at a bit of an angle. So he said you measure both sides and then you calculate the difference. So sure enough, with the straight edge on that, you can see it is at an angle. So let's check one side versus the other. All right, so this is what I'm used to. This side is right at 8 inches. So that would be your 1/2 inch. When we go over here, it's 8 5/16. So that's a bit of a difference from side to side. So he said you measure both sides and you take an average, and the average actually comes out to 5/16, which is very close to 3/8, and he said anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 is what you're looking for. So, all right, I'm going to go with that. So anyway, I'm going to take this back off because I'm not going to have this on to get all the rods and everything in, but I just wanted to check the depth versus the pan to make sure I'm on target. And apparently, according to Moroso, I am. So that's one side done. Let me turn this around, and we're actually going to look at getting the camshaft in. Now we're ready to make a mess. All right, so I have completely cleaned the camshaft because a lot of the stuff is going to be packed in some type of grease, something basically just to keep the surfaces from flash rusting. And what you don't want is all that stuff going into the engine. So you want to get everything as clean as possible. Oh, this stuff is messy. It's also a good time to make one last clean on the cam bearings. Make sure everything is just sweet. All right. No sense rushing this. You don't want to smack any of the cam bearings with the camshaft while it's going in, so take your time. There's no rush here. Alright, get it to the next bearing and lube some more. Wish I had a longer bolt, but I don't. Couldn't find one with the same thread. I'm just using the cam bolt here and a socket to give me a little bit of leverage. Alright, one to go. Alright, she's in. So this camshaft is from Howard's Cams, and it is a 4/7 swap. And in case you don't know what that is, I'm going to try to draw this for you real quick. It's kind of crude, but this is your engine. All right, so you've got 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 8. So there are your 8 cylinders. Distributor is back here, and let's put these in. That's kind of crude, but there it is. So if you're an engine guy at all, probably out of the crib, you will have remembered 18436572. That is a firing order on a V8 engine, and honestly, except for Ford, I said the F word, but except for a couple of manufacturers, I think Cadillac was the same, a lot of the V8s were 18436572. So on an Oldsmobile, you've got counterclockwise rotation, and number 1 is right there. So normally it would be 18436572, but we've got a 4/7 swap, so it is 18736542. So that is the firing order. So basically what you're doing is you're swapping the spark plug on number 7 and number 4, and you're switching those. Supposedly, I think it evens out the ignition pulses. I don't know, but they do it, and I think it's already been proven there's not really a significant horsepower change between the two. But be that as it may, that's the cam that they sell, and that's the one that I bought. All right, let's put this oil baffle in. that little guy there is to keep oil from slinging up and coming up inside your fill tube up here. So let me get this down here so you can see it. Okay, these are the pipe galley plugs that go in the front of the engine here. Now, let me grab two and put them side by side so you can see. If you can see, one is taller than the other. The taller one comes from the 307 that I took out of the engine. The 307 had a roller, hydraulic roller camshaft like I'm putting in here. So it had a plate that bolted to the front. That's why you needed the longer galley plugs to make up for the thickness of the plate. That plate was there as like a thrust plate, and it kept the camshaft in place. I think on normal hydraulic flat tappet cams, the lifters, the way they're designed, kind of almost pull on the lobes to keep the camshaft in, but on a hydraulic roller, there's nothing like that. So the cam wants to come forward and come out of the engine. So you'll see there'll be like cam buttons like that go on the end of the bolt that kind of make up that difference and give you your run out or your thrust distance in the front. But this has that plate, so I decided to use that plate until I found this guy. There is a dude, Clark 455, on ClassicOsmobile.com. It's a forum I'm a member of, and he made this out of like a strong, like bronze bearing material metal. So, and he also redesigned it so that the thrust is a little less than on the factory one. I think he said he found up to 30 thousandths of end play on the camshaft with the factory one, and he said the Rockwell hardness wasn't as hard as this material. So this is what I'm going to put in order to keep the proper positioning of the camshaft. So I've already cleaned this thing up, and I've got a light coat of oil on this. So let me get this guy in. So they tell you, hey, make sure that you put the pipe plug with the, what is it, 20 thousandths, 30 thousandths hole in the passenger side. But in actuality, they're two different sizes, so you have no choice. Unless you mess up and don't put one in at all, that's going to ruin your day, I can tell you that. So if you've never built an Olds engine, I'll go ahead and tell you, there is, like I said, 20, 30 thousandths hole in this one pipe plug. So as the oil makes its way up to the front of the engine, this hole here spits out oil onto your timing chain and keeps the front lubed. Just like that plug in the back keeps the distributor gear lubed. So I looked up a torque spec for this and I couldn't find one. So what I'm going to do is I use blue Loctite on the two plugs, and I'm going to use the precise German measurement of Gudentite. There you go. Cam is in. Now let's get the timing chain. Here's a timing set. It's a Cloy's True Roller. What is that? Part number 9-3113. Now, Mail has the exact same part number, but without the dash. And it's the exact same, it's the exact same thing. So they're both made the same. Now, let's see if I can get up here and show you this. So this is keyed where you can put it in at straight up 0, or you can have it negative 2 degrees or positive 2 degrees. And that's what these marks are all about. So this one is the circle. Let me see that. So the circle, that is straight up. And then you've got this rectangle over here, that is 2 degrees retarded. And then the triangle is 2 degrees advanced. So when you would put this on, you would basically line up your keyway with the opening, and you want wherever you're going to set your timing, that mark is going to be straight up, so it lines up with your cam sprocket. So I am going 0 straight up on mine. So get that on. And then now we'll grab the chain and the sprocket. All right, let's get her on. Let's see if we can't get that lined up as best we can before we get her in. All right, there she is. All right, so I marked the one alignment dot. Just took a Sharpie and put the little dot on there just so you can pick it up better on the camera. So if you're doing like I did, I had to have the main bore, because I was using the studs. It was a line honed. Sometimes that can push the center line of the crank up just a little bit, because basically what they do is they shave a couple of thou off of every one of the caps, and then they put the caps on, torque them down with the studs, and then they align hone it back to its factory specification. So sometimes that'll move the crankshaft up just a hair in the block. And if you had like a Chevrolet, because you can go buy parts at the 7-Eleven if you got a Chevrolet, they make an actual chain that has just a little bit shorter of a chain to make up for that. So so you wouldn't get slop in the chain. Now this is actually this is very, very tight, so I'm happy with that. But if you've got just a little tiny bit of slack in the chain, what you want to do is, because the engine is going to rotate, all right, you want to make sure that you're on the correct side. So you want to move the crank in the direction of the rotation to make sure that your dots line up. So as you can see, dots line up perfect. So now all I got to do is torque down our cam bolt, and the chain is in and good. Same blue Loctite. And we'll just crank this down. And you'll notice the eccentric is not going on because I'm using an electric fuel pump. All right, now we just torqued this down to 65 foot-pounds. Got my rubber dead blow mallet in here, keeping the crankshaft from moving. So I get this torque down. We'll take our oil slinger, put that on so we don't forget. One last thing. This was on the 307. This is basically, it's like a plastic cam button. A little spring, and this fits onto the bolt that goes in the sprocket. Now, what I understand is, and this was on the 307, so I'm going to put it on this, because if it was on that one, didn't have an issue, and that engine had like 50,000 miles on it, ran like a top. This is supposed to, in theory, cut down on or reduce the harmonics from the camshaft at idle and just off idle. Does it? I don't know. But there's some dude who went to college for probably 6 years and did an internship and then worked his way up through the ranks in General Motors to get to the point where someone designed that thing. And if that guy thinks it's okay, then yeah, I guess it's okay with me too. Well, that's it for this one. That's all I'm going to do for now. I'm going to go ahead and use oil pan with a couple of bolts just to pop on the bottom of this so we don't get a lot of drippy drips going on from all the assembly lube and everything I've used so far. Next one, we'll go ahead and do rings, make sure all the gaps are correct, and then I'll at least install the front two pistons so I can degree the cam and make sure everything is spot on where it should be. I have no doubts that it will be, but trust but verify. Anyway, that is it for now. Appreciate you guys being here. If you get a chance, go to the t-shirt shop. All the profits go back into the car, into the project. Really appreciate it. And I don't know, what do the kids say? Smash the like button, click the bell, do all the things. You know what to do. I don't, whatever. Appreciate you being here. See you next time. This is Hutch from Hutch High Perp saying, see ya.